here for the moment. So yes, my name is Stephen and I am from New Zealand, Aotearoa. It's at the very, very bottom of the world. And I've had 50 years of living. And in that, I've learned a lot about myself and a lot about helping. From what I've learned about myself, I've been able to help others to move a little bit or a lot and moving forward inside their life. So my aim as you hear what I'm going to share tonight is two things. By the end of it, I hope, number one, that you're more aware of where you're at inside your life. That's number one. Number two is that you realize, wow, that you have the power to affect change in your life. So that's my aim. I hope that happens for you. It has happened to me. We're all here through this wonderful, incredible business. And let's go. So flip the script. What does that mean? Well, it means wherever you are, if you're stuck, and it happens to all of us inside our lives, then it's having the ability to be able to change things around, to move from those obstacles, being stuck, or the plateaus that we have, to the next step inside moving in our life. And you know, how about I share a little bit about me so you see I'm a real person, a real everyday, ordinary person. But you know what? In my early 40s, I had the hardest time that I've yet to experience. Hope I don't have to experience something as incredibly hard as it was, but it stopped my life. And I came home from working. I was a police officer at the time, and after a long day of work, I came home to find that my wife had left, taken half the property, and the kids were gone, obviously with her, and that just paused my life. It threw a spanner in the works, because that's not what I'd planned. You know, I'd gone through school, done moderately okay. Then I'd got a variety of jobs, and then came into policing, which was one of my dream jobs, and was married, got married as well, had 3 beautiful kids, still have, and there I was living my life in a career that I loved, moving towards the future, which I thought I was going to retire on. That changed everything. And when I came home that day, very soon after, I found myself back in my parents' home, living in the bedroom that I'd grown up as a younger man. So imagine that, 43 years old, back at home in the parents with nothing. And to my name, $500,000 out the door, home sold. And my future, it was bleak. I could only see black. It was the first time that I had nothing to say. And I looked out there and I couldn't see anything. And so I spent the next 2 years trying to work out where to now. And if I was to sit down with you, which I would do personally, you know, I'll tell you more about how deep that it went, and how hurt I had, the hurts that I had to work through in order to claw myself back from that deep place to move forward once again. But in short, I learned that responsibility, that it was my personal responsibility that I had to take for my life. It didn't matter what other people had done or said or not said or not done. What mattered is, no matter what circumstance and events that happened right at that particular time, it's about how was I going to learn and grow and move forward from that stuck place? How was I going to flip the script on what had happened to moving forward again? And I didn't know. And maybe you don't know. Maybe you don't know in crowd one. You know, you've come into this new business and you've looked at it and you've gone, wow, how exciting, but you don't know how to work it. And maybe it's like driving for the first time. You just don't know how to make it go. And so it's by plugging in like you're doing right now, is hearing people like me that are sharing with you, that is going to give you hopefully an aha moment. A light bulb will go on, so you go, wow, that person or those persons or that particular presentation, it did it for me, and now I'm able to move forward. And you know what? After 2 years, I had a few key friends. I had my mother, and I had some outside inspiration too that I plugged into onto the internet, which helped me to go, you know what, life's not over. On my plan A, though it's no longer existing, there's a plan B. And you know what that plan B involved a lot of? It was the internet. For the first time, I realized, you know what, just because my offline life has gone in the way that I'd planned, there was this online life with the universe of potential. And I didn't know how to operate it, but I was excited and I was willing to give it a go. So I did a few things on the online, and I failed once, I failed twice. And then the third time I was mildly successful. And then I came across crowd one, number 4, and I went, wow, maybe this is it. In my 49th year. And I went, I've been always wanting to get free. So maybe this is one that's going to flip the script so that in my 50th year, I will get free from the 9-to-5 job and move to a new future, perhaps even more successful than what I'd been doing previously. And that is what happened. So as we move forward, I want to say that, you know, often life is unfair. Sometimes we get stuck, and I was in this place. I don't know if you can recognize this, but when I went through that hardest time of my life, and I recognized I'd done it before a few times, I used to say to myself, why me? This is so unfair. But when I went through that 2-year period of working out who I was, what was going in life, you know what I realized? I said, why not me? You know, if life's unfair, well, life's unfair for everybody. So, you know, I thought, I'm going to just take responsibility. If life's unfair for everyone, then it's all about me. I've got to take that personal responsibility and move forward. And there's this saying that says, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And I took that to heart. I thought, yeah, I'm going to take that to heart. I'm going to 100% do my best to depend on God, but I'm going to 100% going to work hard like it all depends on me. So that, you know, with God and with my hard work, then I'm going to change. I'm going to flip the script. And I thought, man, those two ways are a good balance in how to move forward. So when you look at this picture here, what do you see? Right? Have you tried this? Have you been inside this circumstance there where you are trying to get fit? I know I have many a time in my life, and I'm in that process now. I've moved past the right-hand side. I had a bit of a tummy for a while, and I've even, I still get the left-hand side a little bit tired, but you know what this represents? Not just fitness, but it reminds me of New Year's resolutions. And when I think about New Year's resolutions, I think about all of us that has the greatest intentions when we start the year. We reflect back, we look at what happened, and we go, you know what? This year is going to be the year that I'm going to get fit. I'm going to eat healthier. I'm going to spend more time with my spouse. I'm going to spend more time with my kids. I'm going to leave this job and I'm going to get a new one. I'm going to change. I'm going to get out of the 9-to-5 and I'm going to get into the online space. You name it. What were your New Year's resolutions? I've done them and you've done them. And here we are, we're on the tail end of the year, the last quarter. We're in October, just starting October. And how have you done with your New Year's resolutions that you began with this year? It's a really good question to ask. If you are on them, if you're on track, then give yourself a tick in the box and go, yeah. But if you're not, and you're going, you know what, I dreamt big, I hoped much, and I look at where I am and I haven't been successful. I want to tell you, don't worry. As long as you and I have breath inside our body and have a mind that's functioning and a heart that's beating, you know what? You can redeem the time, you can make the most of it, because so many people make New Year resolutions, but I can tell you a few months later that most people let them fall by the wayside. Why? Because they get distracted, they get tired, they don't feel like it, and so they let them go, and it becomes another year inside their life. So don't worry, it happens to everybody, but you and I can redeem the time, and we can remember those resolutions. You know what? I'm going to make it fresh right now. In crowd one, for example, you can go, you know what? This last 3 months, I've seen in the last 6 weeks, 4 million people on board. And I see through all the news feeds, the opportunities that are coming, the Dubai office opening, the October the 16th event, the November 22nd event over there in Dubai for the top leaders. There's products and services about to come out, the multi-wallet, SoMe, and others that they've mentioned, but I don't even know yet. So you can finish this year with a bang. You can jump back on there. You know what? The first 3 quarters wasn't maybe the best, but this last quarter, I can come home strong. And there's many a person that has done that inside a race, running race or a sporting event or their fitness or health or something like that, and you and I can do the same. Why do people don't succeed? I want to give credit to Peter Jacobson. Maybe you've jumped on his training. If you haven't, I really encourage you to jump on every Sunday when he's doing them, because you can grab amazing nuggets from this man who himself went from chaos to success. And here he is, and I'm going to be sharing some of the wonderful slides based on what he's learned in his life with you as I go through this presentation. So why do people don't succeed when it's so easy to do? If someone tells you, or you look down at yourself and you say, oh, I've got a tummy, all I've got to do is just do some exercise. That's easy. Someone tells you you've got diabetes. I got told I got diabetes. I said, hey, you've got diabetes, you need to change it. Hey, that sounds easy. I'll just change, yeah, I'll change my diet. You know, so there are lots of different, why is it that if it's so easy, if we can see, oh yeah, this is what I need to do, that we don't do? It's because, like it says here, it's also easy not to. See, we can have the best of intentions when we start, like I'm going to get fit this year. But then a few months later, when we don't feel like it, oh, just so tired from work or so tired from, and you fill the gap. Then it's easier to go back to default and to sit on the couch, you know, or to say, oh, I'm so busy, I'm just going to spend time with the kids, you know. So, and go back to the default way that we used to live, rather than work on the new way or the new habits to move us forward inside our life. And that's what it's about. It's about moving from the old, easy, what we used to do that got us the same results previously, to new habits, which will become the new easy. There's a process, there's a timing, and it's not easy to do that, to move from what we know is the easy thing that we can see that we need to do to what we would love to. But if we can do it, you know what, we can change our life. When you see this picture, do you recognize this in different parts of your life? I do. I remember many a time I've said there, oh, I don't know what to do. I've got so many thoughts on my mind. Some are written, some are just on side of my mind, more on the mind than on the paper. Does that resonate with you? And what are those thoughts? What are those worries? What are those concerns? Well, some of them are to do with yesterday. And when we think about yesterday, maybe it's the glory times. You know, it's those, oh, I remember yesterday when, you know, this and that, oh, it was such a wonderful time. I remember this when I was up on the top of the podium doing amazing in my sports, or when I had that cool job, or that great friend, or I don't know, whatever it is. But you know what? We can't bring back yesterday's glories. We can reflect on them and we can be happy. And we can go, yeah, that was amazing. But we can't relive them again, except in our mind. You know what? And the bad experiences, we can't do anything about those too, because they are already gone. Anything that's terrible or great in the past, we can never change, because that's what's happened. Time is, we've gone past that. So what can we do? The only thing we can do about it is to, the past glories is to go, that was amazing, and I can still do something amazing now. And then terrible things is we can look at the past and we can go, you know what, that destroyed me. That was the worst time of my life. But you can learn from it. You can let go. You can process it so that you can reflect back on it, and then, but not feel it destroying your life. And that's the difference when you look at yesterday, is instead of you never drive a car looking back in the rear vision mirror or the side mirrors the whole time. You do that and you'd crash. And that's our life. Our life will crash if we focus on yesterday's greatness as well as yesterday's terribleness. And it'll take away from the energy that you and I can put into the now. You drive your vehicle forward, you drive your life forward. What is the other way, or the other worry or the concern we have? Well, it's about the future. And there's evidence, there's statistics that come out that tell us that so many people will worry so much about the future, and yet most of it doesn't come true. Can you recognize that? Hey, I worried about this so much and it didn't come true. There is one way that it will come true, is if we focus on it so much, something negative or fearful, is that we will be our own prophet. And what that does that mean? Well, that means that you and I, by focusing on, oh yeah, I really think this is going to have, this terrible thing is going to happen, that we will be a part of the process that enables that terrible thing to happen because we're so focused on it. Because there's a saying that says, what we focus on expands. So it's really important that we choose where our focus goes, because the only way that our future becomes true is what we do right now. See, what I focus on right now, that expands. And what I focus on in the next moment after that, that will expand. And what I focus in the moment after that, that'll expand. And you know, pretty much what will happen is that pretty soon I'll be into my future. So what future do you want to build? One of worry, where you'll make that come true, or one of faith and positivity and moving forward inside your life? Both can come true. It just depends on what you and I do now. So don't spend your time worrying about yesterday, because you can't change it. You can learn from it and move forward. And don't spend your time worrying about the future, because it's now that you create the better future. When we think about the future, there are two types of people. Well, in terms of what I'm going to mention here, unsuccessful and successful people. And this can be in any area of your life, not just businesses or finance. It can be in relationship, family life, your personal development, your self-image, and many other more. So unsuccessful people, what do they have? They have a habit to dwell on the circumstances that they don't want. What do successful people do? They have a habit to dwell on the circumstances that they do want. So that's what I say. What we focus on expands. And you may be saying, oh, I never realized that it was a habit. Whatever I dwell on, if I dwell on positivity, oh, that's a habit that I have. Or dwelling on negative, that's a habit. Yeah, it is. I never realized that until a few years ago when someone said it to me. And I went, oh my gosh, I just thought it was the way things worked until they said that. And I went, so I started to change my habit of what I dwell on. Many, many thoughts on our mind, but it's what we focus on that will expand for us. So you want to be more successful? Well, we've got to learn to change our thoughts. Those will affect our habits, and then that will change, in turn, transform our life. Everybody's a champion inside life, and you may be thinking, yeah, I am. Or maybe you're thinking, no, I'm not. No, that's not true of me. I'm not a champion. I'd love to be a champion, but I'm not. But I want to say that you are. Have you ever thought about that you were a winner from the time that you, even before you were born? You go, what do you mean? I'm a winner since, how's that? I wasn't even conscious of anything. Well, you didn't have to be, because when you were conceived, there were millions and millions of sperm racing to one egg. And guess what? You won. You got through and you won your first championship, so that you were conceived from that moment and grew in the womb and were born to grow to where you are today. Amazing. You know, there's a lot of moments that happens through life, and you may not have recognized yourself as being a winner, but you know what? You learned how to talk. You didn't know in the first place, but you did. That was a massive win. You learned how to walk. You learned how to do maths. You learned how to do whatever you do, whatever skillful job you do. You became a champion. But what I want you to make sure is that you want to ask yourself the question is, you were a champion from the beginning, but what kind of a champion are you developing right now? Because everyone can be a champion. Do you know what? You can be a champion quitter. Yeah. Some people, they will go on, they'll try this, they'll try the next thing, then the next thing, the next thing. And then when it gets hard or they don't feel like it, what will happen? They will quit. They can be a champion quitter. You know, you can be a champion complainer, or maybe a champion gossiper, right? Some people, you can see them and they're just like, oh, it can be the greatest thing, it can be the most beautiful sunshine out there, the best breakthrough inside their life, and yet they've got something to complain about all the time. A champion complainer. You can have a champion person in success. And what is that person? Well, that's a person that when something hits them, it will drop them to their knees, maybe floor them. But guess what? That champion, even if they fall down 7 times, they'll get up the next time. They'll get up 8. They fall down 8 times, they'll get up 9. So you got to ask yourself, I asked myself, what am I, Stephen? Am I a champion quitter, complainer, gossiper? Well, I'm a champion person of success. You fill the gap. And then realize you don't, if it's in the negative side, none of us has to stay there. We can move from that to positivity. And if we're in the successful side, then we can keep developing that being a champion of our own dreams, our own goals, our own vision to move forward inside life. We can flip the script. And what does that mean? Well, to reverse the usual or the existing positions in a situation, do something unexpected or revolutionary. I love that. I love trying my best to be spontaneous, trying to make the most as I grow older, now 50. And you know what? I reflected back inside our business, Crowd One, last year, and what a life changer. Just looking at it, not just financially, but mentally, and being able to see the possibilities of our dreams coming true. How about you? Did you see the possible, when you heard about Crowd One, right, when you had the aha moment that got you to join, you suddenly see, wow, my dreams, they can actually, maybe for the first time even come true. Well, that's right. We saw such amazing, incredible growth last year, and we're seeing it again. But, you know, maybe you've hit a plateau. And that's what I said at the beginning, that, you know what, we all hit plateaus in fitness, and inside business and many other areas. And it's okay, because that's just the way it is. You can't be high, high, high all the time. And don't worry, because you won't be low, low, low all the time either. There's a time where we plateau and we need to change things up. And so I got to that point earlier this year when, you know, most of the world, as there was a change inside, not the epidemic, but there was a change as people were getting tired, I guess. Maybe they thought Crowd One was a sprint. And so they got to the end of the last year and said, I'm tired. I thought I'd be at my dreams by now. And many of the world decided to do something else, or went to sleep, or rested, or got distracted. And so we went through this time where there was a plateau inside our company. It was a bit of a lull for a few months there, especially in the first half of this year. You know, and I realized, you know what, Stephen, things are not moving like the last year. I've got to do something. I don't know. I'm not going to blame anyone. I'm not going to say I made sure I understood what was happening, but I wasn't going to blame situations or persons. I just looked at it and I went, you know what? You've learned enough through the difficult and the most hardest times in your life, Steve, to take personal responsibility and do the best you can to move forward. And part of that was to say, you know, I'm going to Dubai. I thought I'm going to put myself in a place where I'm going to have people that are further along than me. They've got bigger minds, they're higher ranks, their hearts, I hope, are deeper than me. You know why? Because if you or I are the smartest person inside the room, if you or I are the one with the deepest heart inside the group that we're a part of, you know what? That is as far as we're going to go. It's really important that we find other people of like mind, big-hearted, and hopefully further along to us. If they're with us, that's great, because then we'll have running buddies that will help us to move forward. And it's even more special if you have people that are ahead that are willing to share, that you can tap into, that will help you to grow. Because as you grow, as I grow, guess what? We're able to help others to do the same. So flip the script, do whatever it takes for you to move your fitness, for you to move forward inside your life, inside this business, for you to move forward and to be a better spouse, to be a better parent, to be, if you're young enough, to be a better child to the parent that you're a part of. We always have a choice, and to flee, to fear, to shrink back, or to fight, to love, to move forward. Always a choice. Some people say, no, I don't have. No, you always have a choice. Someone can do things to us, and we may not be able to control the events or the circumstances that happen to us, but we can always choose how we respond, how we react. And I recognize when I look back through my lifetime, I think, you know what, Stephen, the younger I was, the more I used to react. The older I've got, the more I've realized, you know what, just that's okay. I don't have to spend my time doing that. I've just got to spend my time working on who I am and where I'm going inside life. And so that's what I tell you, is I say, have the courage to step forward in the one life that you have, because often things will come along for seasons, and once that season's finished, you're not able to do it. You're not able to be maybe more as physically active as you were. So some people feel, oh, I'm not going to go on the roller coaster, or I'm not going to jump off there, or I'm not going to go on the water in the speedboat, or I'm not going to, you fill the gap. And so when that season's finished, then they don't have the opportunity to do it. And I say to you, make the most of every opportunity of every season throughout your life, so that you can look back and you can say, I'm so glad that at that point in my life that I did that, because I know many others didn't, but you know, I feel better. I feel fulfilled in doing that. I have little to no regrets. And I encourage you to take the step of fight, the step of courage, the step to love again. Because you know what? If you and I say to ourselves, say we get bitten inside a relationship, oh, I will never ever go into a relationship, never. Or the business that you try doesn't work, it falls apart. You say, I will never try that business again. Then guess what? You give yourself, I would give myself a 0% that I would be successful in a relationship, because I'm not going to go into one. I would have 0% success that my business would be, because I'm 0% going to go into that. So what do I have left? That means I've got to go back to the default, the old way, being alone if it's relationships, or going back to the 9-to-5 grind only if I'm not going to try something new, like the internet or multi-level marketing or crowd one or something like that. So always make a choice towards your dreams, your goals, your visions, not your feelings, not those old habitual thoughts of negativity, but the ones where you're reaching up to people and inspiration around you that's going to inspire you and encourage you to move forward, to fight, to love, to be courageous, and make the most of this life for you and the people that you care about. Every time that we think, we've got thoughts, and when we have obstacles, problems, situations to come in our life, they produce feelings. Often, if we're thinking negatively, then those feelings are going to follow that. We're going to feel stink, and then we'll have a new thought, and that will lead to normally no action. I remember when I was prior to this business, and I used to think all my life, oh, I'm just unlucky. And that's what I thought, financial, oh, you know, I never win a prize. My father, he's so lucky, he wins prizes like at the drop of a hat. Me, I don't seem to win inside draws, raffles, and in life, in a lot of areas inside life. Then I read a book, actually a few books, and they highlighted different areas, and they said, you know what, it's not about being unlucky. You know, that's just the way you're thought. And I went, what? You mean I'm not dictated to? It's not fate that I'm this way? And they said, yeah, basically that's what I was getting at. I was saying, you're not that way. It's just the way you thought wrong. You thought poorly. You thought that you were unlucky because you saw certain results. But you know what, Steve? And it's what you focused on, it expanded. And so I went, oh, I focused on I was lucky. So I didn't take action, for example, on putting myself into prize draws. I didn't take action into you know, to putting myself into lottos or things like that. But when I realized this, I went, you know, if I'm lucky, then that means I will put myself. So I put myself into things like that. And, you know, I started to realize, wow, I won this prize, I won that prize. And in isolation, I won prizes inside going to market and just entering my name down on a draw. I won. And I came to this realization, it was my thought processes that were holding me back in the area of luck and finances, you know, and that also changed the way I thought about earning. Because up to then, I'd never been a six-figure earner. Even as a police officer, I went from 50,000 to 77,000 by the time I ended in my 13th year. But I'd never been in all my life, 35 years of working, being a six-figure earner. When I changed my mindset, I went, I can be a millionaire at some point, and I'm going to earn like I've never done before. It's my past thoughts. I'm going to new ways. And you know what? For the first time, as I changed my thought process, the problems became obstacles which I could get through. The feelings went from negative to positive. My new thoughts was I can do it, and then I was able to take action moving forward, and I became a six-figure earner for the first time. See, it's the power of what we focus on and changing old habits to new to move forward inside our life. I love this because it says I can and I can't. And whenever someone tells me that they can or they can't, you know what I say back to them? If they're really adamant on it, I'll say, yeah, I believe you. They say, what do you mean? I said, yeah, you say you can. I believe that you can. I believe that you can accomplish what you've told me. And if they say they can't, I'll say, I 100% believe that you can't, because that's what you believe. See, it's whatever you and I believe, that's what we can or can't do. And I've had a lot of times, vivid examples in my life, but let me share one. And that is, in a relationship, after my marriage fell apart, I went out with this one particular person, and you know, me being in a good financial position and that person wasn't, I just did everything I could to help them to move forward with me. But no matter where I took them, what I did, it wasn't enough to help them to break out of where they were. See, their mindset was, I can't do this, I can't do that. No matter what I did, no matter how I cared, how much I loved, how much financially I provided, or a place that I took them to, they had in their mind, I can't. They hadn't looked at the past. Well, they were looking at the past too much. They were driving their life by looking that way, but they weren't processing it. They weren't working it out so that they could let go and look back on the past without feelings. So I realized it doesn't matter how much someone does for the person. If they've got I can't over any area of their life, then it's I can't for that particular area of their life. So realize that, become aware that what you say, what you believe can and can't, the power is inside your hand and no one else can change it until you have that awareness. And I hope by the end of this, then I'll give you something which is going to help you to become aware. This is really related to what I just said. Your core belief systems and your self-image decide your actions or no actions. I've shared this previously about a holy bucket, and that's like our life. Our life is a bucket, and depending on whether we've worked out our past depends on how many holes are in that bucket. So imagine getting water and pouring it in, and a bucket having multiple holes. What would happen to the water? Well, it would drain out of the bucket. And that can be our life when we haven't dealt with our past. Maybe we have a poor self-image, or we believe that we're unlucky like I used to, or we believe that we just can't make it, in whatever area of our life. I will not be successful in relationships, I'll just be alone. Or I'm never going to be a good parent because of A, B, and C. So it's really important that if we are going to look at growing and changing our life, that we look at our core belief system, look and see if there are holes in our bucket that we need to patch up. If we're going to look back, look at those areas we can patch up. So we can retain the water, we can retain the positivity, we can retain the life that we're growing. So that it can help ourselves to grow, and as we grow, it can spill over into other people's lives. We don't want to just leak into other people's lives through the holes. We want to grow and have those holes sealed up so that it can overflow. You can put a tap even onto the bucket and help other people. You can control what's happening in life rather than be controlled by circumstances and things that have happened inside the past. So whether you think you can or you think you can, you can't, you're right, I'm right. So I encourage you to think better thoughts, to focus on the best of things so that you can change the old habits of thinking negatively, poorly, and down to thinking better, positively, to move you towards wholeness. You got to be before you can do, you got to do before you can have, and you got to have before you can give. You know what, when I was insecure as a teenager and I felt like I was ugly, I couldn't do much. I couldn't go in. I was hiding behind a scarf in winter inside Christchurch, and so I couldn't be very social at the time. But as I grew to know that that I was loved, accepted by God above, and inside myself, then I grew in confidence, and as I grew in confidence, I was able to speak and share to people around me. And so as I did that, I realized I've got preciousness inside me. And then as I realized I've got preciousness inside me, I was able to share others and say, you know what, you've got preciousness inside you. I was able to give away the preciousness that I realized I had inside me to others to help them to feel precious. And no matter where you are, as you build yourself, it could be in finances, it could be in your personal development, who you are, or some other area, and whatever you learn through experience, that you can share that with others. How do you change your life? Well, you change, and I change by plugging in. And that's what I mentioned earlier, is that you plug into people more or further ahead of you. Plug into inspiration, online and offline, that's going to spark you up, that's going to turn you around, that's going to get you outside whatever place that you are. If it's a low moment, a plateau situation, it's going to move you forward inside life. And for Crowd One members, I would say plug in online. When you can't go out other places because you're in lockdown, well, plug into the world of opportunity online. Your back office, online Zooms, training, presentations, people that you've connected on Facebook that are moving forward inside this business, because they will inspire you, encourage you to move forward from where you are. It'll get you outside of yourself. And sometimes that's all we need to get ourselves moving again, to flip the script on where we are. And as we come to a close here, I want to share this. Now, there's some big words here and you may not understand it, but I want to give you a basic, simple understanding of what this means. We're going to start off with the purple and we're going to end with the blue. And what this means is, you know, as we grow through life, is that sometimes we're just unaware of things around us. I'm going to use the example of us being a baby. For example, you know, a baby comes out and is unaware that it could ever walk, right? It just goes around, crawling around, and then suddenly it looks up. It's unconscious incompetence. That means it doesn't know it can walk, and so it just keeps on crawling. But at some point, it looks at the people around and notices, hey, they're standing in an upright position, and I am not. I wonder if I can do that. And so it starts a process of starting to try and get up so that it can walk. It's called, but it keeps falling down. That's when you get to the yellow, see, the yellow part. I realize that there's something that I'm not doing that they're doing. Maybe I can do it. So they give it a go, but they keep failing. Then they get to a point, the baby gets to a point in the conscious competence where they start to be able to stand, maybe a bit of a wobble, and then they start to be able to take that first step, and then another step, and then another. And then they have to really concentrate, but they start to walk, and then everyone gets excited, go, whoa, wow, that's so amazing, you know, and the baby starts to walk. But you know what? A short time later, and you know it, and I know it now, is that we don't even think twice about it. It's unconscious competence. We've gone from a place where we never even thought about it as a baby to a short time later as a child, and now as an adult, we never think about it unless we injure ourselves. We are unconsciously competent in utilizing that skill. It's the same with talking. A baby goes from not talking, think about to where you are now. At some point, you went through this process to be super successful and do it on automatic. Think about riding a bike, the same process. Think about driving a car, the same process. You went from, I don't need a car as a child, to going, you know what, that will really help me in my job or my sports or my groups that I'm a part of. And so you went through the same process. And I want to encourage you to do this with your life. Maybe it's in the fitness. Maybe you just realized recently, you know, or you found out something. So you know what, you can go through the same process. Maybe it's Crowd One. Remember, you have been unconsciously incompetent, maybe inside working a 9-to-5 grind all your life until recently when someone said, this could make the difference. It could change your life. You went, what? And then you came into the yellow and you went, conscious and competence. Okay, I'm excited, but I don't know what to do. I keep failing. I fail. Oh, I'm no good at inviting. I'm no good at this, and I'm no good at that. I would never be a presenter. That's you going from decades one way, all your life perhaps, to learning this new way. It's a process. Just like you learn to walk, to talk, to ride a bike, to drive, you can also learn this business. It's a process of moving forward to where you can get to a place where at some point in the near future that you can be unconscious competent, just like every other area of your life. So are you stuck? Have you wondered, oh my gosh, how can I move forward inside relationships, inside business, Crowd One maybe, or in another area, personal development, your fitness, or some other area of your life? Well, I hope that what I've shared with you today, that two things have happened. Like I said at the beginning, number one, that you are more aware of where you're at. Maybe you are. Maybe you were aware even before you came on, just didn't know what to do. But number two is that now that you realize that you have the power to affect change in your life, to flip the script and to move from the plateau, the obstacle, the problem, the not moving forward, to actually slowly or fastly embracing your future to whatever you want it to be.